Today in history, during the sweltering Mideast heat of June 28, 1098, something happened outside the walls of Antioch that defied every earthly calculation. A gaunt, half-dead army of Christian warriors shattered a massive and well-supplied Muslim force, turning despair into legend. As discussed in a previous video, weeks earlier, the Crusaders had achieved a long-awaited goal, the liberation of Antioch. This city, once a crown jewel of ancient Christendom and the birthplace of the word Christian, was reclaimed by Christian hands, more specifically arms, on June 3rd. Yet there was no time to celebrate. The Christian victory triggered a greater danger. Kerbogha, the Atabeg of Mosul, fell upon them with a juggernaut, according to sources, as many as 40,000 Muslims, composed of Turks, Arabs, Egyptians, Persians, and North Africans. Seeing the famished Crusaders, Kerbogha scoffed. "It is quite obvious that these people are completely mad," said he. "They are a presumptuous race. Doubtless they have every confidence in their courage. But by Muhammad, it was a bad day for them when they entered Syrian territory." The roles reversed overnight. The besiegers were now the besieged, trapped inside a half-ruined city stripped bare of supplies by its previous occupiers. Hunger and thirst racked the Crusaders. Some drank horse blood, others gnawed on leather. Yet their will remained intact. In the face of such overwhelming odds, the Crusader leaders convened and chose defiance. They sent emissaries to the enemy camp with a message of stark choices. Leave the city to its rightful owners, that is Christians, or face the sword. Their warning struck not only a martial tone, but a moral and spiritual one. Speaking to Kerbogha, they said, quote, "What staggering audacity has possessed you that you should have marched against the Christians, when you and your king and your people are guilty of invading Christian lands with unbridled covetousness and insulting and killing them all? If you had any kind of rule of law, we would negotiate and demonstrate to you with incontrovertible arguments what ought to belong to the Christians." The Crusader messengers went on to offer Kerbogha something unheard of. If he embraced Christianity, the city would be handed over to him, and the Crusaders would call him Lord. But if he refused, quote, "Fly immediately or prepare your necks for our swords," said the Christian emissaries. Kerbogha's fury was volcanic. Quote, "We took Christian lands by means of our remarkable strength," he spat, "from a nation scarcely better than women," apparently he meant the Byzantines. "You are mad to come from the ends of the earth with insufficient supplies, too few arms, and too few men. Not only do we refuse to accept the name of Christians, but we spit upon it in disgust." Then came his ultimatum. If the newcomers renounced Christ and became Muslims, vast lands beyond Antioch would be theirs. "Refuse, and the Christians, quote, will undoubtedly die horribly," said Kerbogha, "or endure the exile of eternal imprisonment. I shall save all those who are in the flower of youth of both sexes for the service of my master." The Christian delegation returned to Antioch. Their message was received in silence. The Crusaders understood. There would be no rescue, no negotiation, no hope, unless they forged it themselves. A fast was proclaimed. The meager rations left were fed to the horses. Men walked barefoot through the city, past shattered walls and blood-stained altars, praying with bent heads and hollow stomachs. "Everyone was so grief-stricken," wrote Raymond of Aguilers, who was present, "that father would not greet son and brother would not look at brother." On the morning of June 28th, that is, today's date, they gathered to receive the Eucharist, a final act of surrender, not to their enemy but to their God. Then 20,000 men, all but 200 left behind to guard the gates, armed themselves, formed ranks, and marched out. Behind them lay a city of bones. Before them, an army more than twice their size, fully supplied and waiting. What followed seemed to witnesses nothing short of supernatural. Kerbogha's army, expecting submission, or at best a desperate skirmish, was staggered by the resolve of the Crusaders. Ragged knights advanced like wolves, pierced by arrows yet refusing to fall. They bristled like porcupines, one account says, but still moved forward, fighting ferociously. Muslim cavalry, renowned for their fluid mobility and deadly archery, faltered before the iron wall of the Christian advance. When the Muslim horses fell or scattered, Crusaders seized and mounted those steeds, leaving their own starved animals behind. Wave after wave broke against the Crusader line and fell. The assault turned into a rout. Panic spread through Kerbogha's camp. His coalition, united by fear more than faith, disintegrated. The Crusaders, bloodied and near death, pursued with an otherworldly fury. By nightfall, the impossible had occurred. The Muslims had fled in total collapse, leaving behind supplies, weapons, animals, everything the Crusaders lacked and now took. Chroniclers struggle to explain it. Many reported visions of angelic warriors fighting alongside the Crusaders. Whether literal or not, Crusader historian J. Rubinstein sums up the mystery. He writes, quote, "Modern military historians have attempted to come up with a more rational explanation for the Franks' success, but the task is difficult. How did a force as spent and starved as the Crusaders manage to overcome a superior, well-fed, and well-rested adversary?" Even Muslim voices could not hide their dismay. Quote, "The Muslims were completely routed without striking a single blow or firing a single arrow," lamented Ibn al-Athir. "The only Muslims to stand firm were a detachment of warriors from the Holy Land. The Franks killed them by the thousand and stripped their camp of food and possessions." The Battle of Antioch became more than a victory. It became a symbol, not just of martial prowess, but of spiritual conviction turned into action. For generations, Christian warriors would remember the starving army that dared challenge a giant and prevailed. And for centuries thereafter, it was remembered and honored on this date in history.